Hi guys, this is Mrs. Ullrey, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to interpret a chemical formula. Chemical formula is how we represent the elements that make up a chemical compound. So again, if you remember, a compound is a chemical substance that's made of more than one type of element connected together, and so a chemical formula will tell us which elements are in that compound and then how many atoms we have of each of those elements. So let's begin. The first thing that we need to look at are the element symbols. So each capital letter in our chemical formula represents a different element. So we can see that we have a capital C, and then that lowercase a means this all goes together. And then we have a capital N and a capital O. And so the question is, how many elements are in this formula? So we can see we have 1, 2, 3 capital letters. That means we have 3 different elements. So Ca is calcium, N is nitrogen, and O is oxygen. And then we have these little numbers down below. These are called subscripts, sub meaning below, and script meaning writing. So this is writing below, right? Below the big letters there. And these indicate how many atoms or groups of atoms there are in our chemical formula. And these are multipliers. So what this does is this tells us how many we have of each of the atoms, and we're going to multiply those. So if we take a look here, how many calcium atoms are there in this formula? So calcium is underlined right here in red. And so if we take a look, there's no subscript written there. There's no number. So if we look over here with the O, there's a 3, or outside of the parentheses, we see this too, but with calcium, we see no number. And so what that means is there's 1 calcium. So when a number's not written, it's like an imaginary 1 is there. So there's only 1 calcium. Here with our nitrogen, so nitrogen is N. Again, we don't see any number written next to it, so there's an imaginary 1. But then you'll see that the N is inside of this parentheses. So this subscript of 2 that's outside of the parentheses here applies to the N. So we're going to take 1 times 2 for a total of 2 nitrogens in this compound. And again, it's just like math class, right? Where if you have a number outside of the parentheses, you distribute it throughout everything inside. So that means that we have 2 nitrogens inside. How many oxygens are there? So if we take a look, there's a subscript of 3 next to the oxygen. So that means there are 3 oxygens within this NO3 group. And then we have 2 groups of that NO3. So we're going to multiply these together. So 3 times 2 is going to be 6. So we have 6 oxygens in this formula. The next thing that we need to know is that we also will have ions that are made of more than one type of atom, and that's the case here with nitrate. So nitrate is actually made of this N, the O, and the 3. So we've got nitrogen with 3 oxygens attached, so this whole group. So we're going to look at the multiplier on the outside. So what this means by having this 2 outside of the parentheses, what this really means is that we have 2 groups of nitrate. So there are 2 nitrates in this formula. And those are the basics of how to interpret a chemical formula.